okay? All right, let's jump into what we call. One of our coaches had the bright idea of actually calling, don't call them an R4, an L5, whatever. Call them the position that they are and what they do. So we switched to that last year, and we actually called them the names of what they do. We used to say that the R5 and the L5 were our missiles. We said, heck with that. We're going to have a field missile and a boundary missile. These have got to be your two, I don't want to say best players, but they need to be your most disruptive players. They're no lane, no contain. That's an easy way and fun way to say no responsibility other than go tackle the football or make sure they have to account for you. Okay? A lot of guys say, well, shoot, I want to make that my best tackler. I'll tell you, after running this scheme, that is not the guy or the position that makes a lot of the tackles. Okay, the reason being is they're the first ones down there, and usually people pick them up late because the off returner or somebody that has a most dangerous man just sees them right there. So you need to make it a guy, a running back, a skilled receiver that's got some shake, and he just knows, man, I got to get down there. I got to be disruptive. If they try to block me, that's a good thing, and force that ball to go where we want it to. Clearly, we'd like them to make the tackle also, but that's what we're looking for. So no lane, no contain are the missiles. Going to the next guys, we have a field and a boundary vice. Now, we flip-flop sides based on where we're kicking the ball, and that's fine because we're going to start our guys. I shouldn't say we flip-flop sides. We have a field and a boundary side, but we start them all over the field. They might start in a different position 2-3 times in a game and 100 different times throughout the season, okay? They just know at the end of the day, this is my responsibility. Now, one thing I like about this is not this is return driven and kickoff returner driven as to where they go. This is not landmarks on the field saying you go to the hash, you go to the boundary, divider, you go to the middle of the field. It's not that. So they can't just sit back there and zone it off. There's a lot of teams in the country that run that scheme. It was made famous a lot of years ago by a school in the Big Ten, and people could figure out like, well, somebody's going to show up here, so they just drop to those spots. These positions are very similar to that, but what's going to happen is they're going to show up where the returner is and fit their position no matter what. It's not landmark driven, it's returner driven. Our field and boundary vice, and the way I define vice, if you don't know or understand exactly what that is, in a defensive term, it's two guys on either side of one person. Left shoulder leverage and right shoulder leverage working together. So kind of picture that in a V and a vice, and we are trying to vice the returner and make him run between us. So I have a left side and a right side guy. Now they're trying to make a tackle with their right shoulder or with their left shoulder. Okay, but they're trying to get the ball to go between them. So wherever they end up, they have to end up on that respective side of the returner. Again, you can start them wherever you want, but they got to end up there. Now, this is the coolest position, I think, okay? The field and the boundary stack. Responsibilities, they need to be full speed to the 50 and then stack the vice players. So I want everybody on our kickoff team running full speed. And I actually moved this forward a little bit in certain games, but for right now, at least to the 50. High school, you'd probably go to the 45 or 40 just because you kick off a little closer. We're full speed to the 50, and then you make like almost a left or a right-hand turn, and you have to stack the vice players. You are directly behind the vice players like a linebacker in a dang stack, 3-3 stack behind the D-line. Okay? You are now going to play off of the vice player. If that vice player takes the left lane and triggers, you're playing off of him to the right. It's like a safety fitting off a linebacker fitting off of a D lineman that's in the wrong gap or even the right gap. Okay, you're playing off of him. Now, what I will say is if the vice player does not beat a double team or he gets his butt kicked early, like a guy's blocking him and you're playing off of him, if he's getting his butt kicked, you now become the vice. So that vice player who's the stack player, the stack player who is a second level player and a slow player sees the vice in front of him getting doubled or losing, he right now picks up to full speed and passes him and becomes the vice, which in turn now lets our vice player be the stack player. He will now beat that block that he was struggling with, and he is now the second level scrape player. Okay, so that's critical to know that. Now, if you get really, really good over the course of the year, you switch who those guys are. They're going to say, well, hey, number 50 is always the vice. He's always going to be a second, or the stack. He's always going to be a second level player. Well, next week you make number 50 the vice player, and he's a front level guy. They'll let him run right by. Okay, so do a good job of, they'll go by jersey numbers what your guy has to do, or what the responsibility is. Okay, now we've got a field and boundary contain. This is critical. Contain the football, guys. When I was coaching at NIU, I used to say, don't contain DeKalb County, contain the football. I always ask our players, what is the best way to contain the football? And they say, well, outside arm and leg free, make sure the ball runs inside of me. No, the best way to contain the football is tackle it. Tackle it. And I'm a defensive guy by heart, big time. Okay, tackle it. If you tackled the ball, it didn't get outside of you. So our contains are insanely aggressive. They are ball guys all day. They're not holding a point, setting an edge, outside arm and leg free. Sure, if they go inside 9 out of 10 times and lose, I'm going to coach the heck out of them to not do that. But I want those guys hair on fire, running the edge, okay? Constrict the return by running through the outside hip of the widest guy. So picture yourself as the contain. The KOR team is dropping in there. Now, I want to squeeze, kind of like if you ever watch my punt block stuff, we want to replace those people's outside foot and their hips. Okay, you got to run that edge. Now, versus return to you, blockers coming at you, contain the football. You know, set a good edge, constrict it, be down in there. You can't go running around it like a D end up the field. And versus return away from you, skim the edge to the tackle. Man, bend that edge, fly down there, try to sweep the ankle, gator roll it, and get a big time TFL. Now, this is why we can do this. We have a field and a boundary safety, almost just like the stack, the vice in the stack, where the vice player is a ball guy and the stack is playing off of him. Our contained players are ball guys, and the safeties are playing off of him. So they're working with the contained player. First return to you, you know your contained player is going to contain it. You fill off the contained player. If for some reason he goes crazy, hair on fire, shoots it inside, which I'm fine with, and the ball bounces, boom, you better fit off him. That's fine. You got a sideline there. Versus return away, that guy's going to run the edge. The contained player is going to skim the edge. You are going to fold and play cutback inside of him. So we've got safety nets on both of those guys there that you're playing off of one another. That's what allows us to truly let our contained players fly to the ball. Now, this is critical too with the kicker. He's got to do a great job directional kick. Hang time is our friend, man. I don't care about a bunch of touchbacks. Sure, those are nice, but hang time. If we can get all of our players down there inside the 30, inside the 25, which is crazy elite speed to get down there, we're winning. Okay, if you watched our KOR stuff that I spoke on, we don't even give a key until about the 25. Like, we don't give anything away until then. So if we're already inside the 30 and there's teams that are giving away keys, we already know, guys, we're running right by them. Okay, because most teams give up a key. Now, directional kick, we're aiming for the divider. The reason I like that, a lot of people want to kick for the divider, guys, being the numbers and the hash, in between the numbers and the hash. The reason I like that, if you kick it too far to the corner, which I've done that in the past, you legitimately lose all your field players. That field contain, your field safety, they're too far away from the ball. Okay, everybody thinks it constricts the field. Well, it doesn't. They can still run that ball wherever the heck they want. They got the whole field to bring it back to the field and all that. Now, you can also constrict your alignment on kickoff. But then, shoot, they're just going to pin you and try to run around the field like Penn State did to Ohio State with Saquon Barkley, 5-6 years ago when they housed it, because Ohio State was all squeezed down too tight. They just pinned them down. So I think kicking it to the divider is a great location that allows your kickoff team to be symmetrical and execute. Okay. Then our kicker is covering. He is down the field inside the 30, creating a trap or a cup with our ones, our safeties. Okay.